And the one thing that the takeaway was you need to learn the concepts, because memorizing the formula, you may end up, a bit short.
And they are electrical engineers. Sometimes it takes them multiple attempts to get this done.
Once I understood the exams, I had to put in the number of hours so that I could, make sure that I am properly prepared. It was pretty much 2 or 3 hours a day. So that's like 15 hours over the weekdays and like 8 to 10 hours on a weekend.
I'm not making this up. Folks who have background in power systems, guys and girls who have spent 5, 10, sometimes 15 years doing the design work, they struggle. They have to work really hard in order to pass this exam in the first attempt. You're making it sound easy. You were starting as a blank slate, so you had to learn pretty much everything.
Don't feel afraid of trying it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of students actually don't take it because they're afraid of trying it. I mean, it's going to be a grind. It's not going to be a walk in the park by any means.
Hi, Siddharth.
Hey, Wasim, how is it going?
Good, good. How are you?
Hey, doing good.
So, Siddharth, many congratulations on passing your PE Power exam on the first attempt. And thanks a lot for making yourself available. You sent me an email this morning. And your story is very interesting because you come from a non-electrical background, right? So how about you
Yes.
walk me through your journey, please?
Hey, so I completed my master's in mechanical engineering back in 2019, and I immediately took the PE exam for the HVAC and refrigeration because California allows you to do that without any experience. And I think I was probably one of the last batches to do the pen and paper one. And I managed to clear it like immediately. And then pretty recently, I hadn't done any PE exams as such, but as luck would have it, uh, at my firm, we had some shortage on electrical engineers, and some of them had health issues, and I got a chance to work on electrical side. And I started to believe that I have a knack of picking some electrical items. So it was on one of my to-do lists, like I was hoping that it would be a good achievement to even get like a dual PE, like they call it. And I reached out to you like in May or something and enrolled in your course, and pretty much studying since then. I got my results like this last Wednesday that I cleared the test.
No, that's amazing, Siddharth. You probably know that the PE exam, the PE Power, well, you definitely know how difficult it is, right?
Yeah.
And they are electrical engineers. Sometimes it takes them multiple attempts to get this done. So what was your strategy? How did you approach this exam with a non-electrical background?
So I think the first thing that I wanted to check is what are the requirements, what kind of study patterns are there. I did a Zoom call with you, and I had my concerns that I relayed to you and I think you put me at ease. A couple of other things I actually went through a lot of your YouTube success stories because people tend to list their experiences, which helped me quite a bit. And the one thing that the takeaway was you need to learn the concepts, because if you don't know the concepts, especially as I realized during the exam, you have twisted questions. So if you just go with, just based on calculations and just, memorizing the formula, you may end up, a bit short in that front. So pretty much my understanding was, once I understood the exams, I had to put in the number of hours so that I could, make sure that I am properly prepared going ahead, and more like a disciplined schedule I set to myself of what needs to be done every day after work, on weekends and stuff.
So let's talk a little bit about your schedule. Number of hours. Did you keep track of how many hours you ended up spending in total?
Yes, I mean, I did not maintain any Excel sheet or such, but I did have a fair idea of the number of hours I was working. It was pretty much 2 or 3 hours a day. So that's like 15 hours over the weekdays and like 8 to 10 hours on a weekend. So I was like averaging 30 to 35 hours outside of my work. And like I mentioned, I had to put a bit more because I was not from the same background. So I had to put in a bit more to, get the same results. I could say that.
And for how long? That's the next question.
I think it's about 4 months, a couple of weeks here and there, 4 months, pretty much. I think by the third month, I had given an NCES practice exam and I had scored like about like 60 out of the 80.
It's pretty good.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to, make sure that this is my first and last attempt. So I just took a month extra, just, just some specialized topics like protection and, open delta and all that stuff. I wanted to make sure I kind of, nail those down. It was a 10-second thing for a couple of questions because I went through that exercise.
Right. And that's amazing. Now, tell me this, Siddharth, knowing that you were starting with a disadvantage, right? You were essentially handicapped, and to be quite honest, right? I mean,
Yeah,
as I told you, I'm not making this up.
yeah.
Folks who have background in power systems, guys and girls who have spent 5, 10, sometimes 15 years doing the design work, they struggle. They have to work really hard in order to pass this exam in the first attempt. You're making it sound easy, and it might have been, right? But in terms of your, if if you want to give somebody an advice as to what is really required to get this done, what does that distill it down for you, and what you implemented on day in day out?
So yeah, I think like I briefly touched on it, the main two things is understanding the concept and the knowledge. I mean, without that, you aren't able to, solve or, solve the questions. And each of them has own study patterns. I'm a kind of person who likes to solve more and more problems. And
Right.
that's when I kind of feel comfortable. Some of the people may, just feel comfortable after like 10 problems. They are like, okay, I'm good. I'm a kind of person who likes to solve like 90, 100 problems. And then the second big thing is, just the discipline. I mean, you need to, believe in yourself that you can get this done because I mean, the last thing I want to go is thinking that I'm not being able to clear this exam
Yeah.
because then, you are anyway starting at a bigger disadvantage.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
and it's not like a life and death scenario. You can take that exam multiple times. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it costs you a few bucks here and there, but you can take that exam again and again. So that's the something that was on back of my head that, I need to keep on working and just, to be honest, I never thought about, failing or, in that sense that I may, not pass it. I'm not trying to make this up, but it didn't cross my mind because as I knew as soon as, I do a good preparation, I understand the concepts, I should be able to make it to work. And my prior PE experience kind of helped me as well.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. Which topics bothered you the most to prepare for?
Protection was initially challenging, I must admit, but as soon as you learn and try to understand about it, you kind of learn a bit more. I mean, I'm still a kind of bit fuzzy on the distance relay and differential, although I know the basic of it. If they give me a, pretty complicated example, I may probably fail at that.
Mhm.
But eventually I started enjoying it as well when you start learning about how the coordination of the different systems works with, the TCC curves, the damage curves, inrush curves, so on and so forth. I think those were the initial couple of items
Well, they
that,
are at the end. They're
yeah,
not the
yeah,
initial.
sorry. I mean, those were the main items actually
Yeah,
that
that's
were,
not bad at all.
yeah,
My P Power students, when they start their P Power exam preparation, they're like, "Oh, Wasim, does it have code? Does it have fault analysis? We'll have to learn symmetrical components, for unit systems, right?" You were
yeah,
starting as a blank slate, so you had to learn pretty much everything. So these
yeah.
guys have had some exposure, and they know which topics are a little bit more painful than others, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I was surprised with the code though. I mean, I believe I got the codes pretty quickly. I mean, that was one of my concern areas, but surprisingly, with the videos that I took of yours and the amount of practice I did from different sources, I kind of practiced more and more because again, I came as a blank slate. So I hadn't, even although I had seen NFPA, NEC code books, but it hasn't been like I was using it day in and day out. So I had to actually solve a lot of problems, and that's allowed me to get familiar, with some of the examples and stuff, which I can encounter on the exam.
that's great. Now, Siddharth, how did the exam preparation resources help you? The program that you enrolled in, how helpful was that?
So it was pretty helpful, I must admit. I'm always a fan of on-demand courses because it allows me to work as per my convenience, especially because I'm a full-time employee as well. So I need to, be able to do it at my convenience. The length of the videos weren't like an hour or so. I mean, leave aside the live weekly classes, but just the overall individual ones. So it allowed you to concentrate as well. And uh, I, I I also bought your study guide from Amazon, which was
Yeah,
pretty helpful. It
it's in
has
the
about,
back. Yeah,
yep, like 700 problems or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
And the good thing I liked about it is the problem started from difficulty level easy, medium, and more difficult as you progressed in each chapter. So actually, I may have solved your book like twice or thrice, just to
Wow,
get like really and sometimes even write it down so that I can actually look at the steps I'm going through. So I think that's definitely helped me, and definitely your live weekly classes. Um, I must admit I couldn't attend all of them, and sadly I didn't purchase your the highest package of yours, where you actually even record those videos. But yeah, whenever I attended, those were pretty helpful as well.
right. Yeah, and what about the practice exams and the mini exams and the quizzes? How did you use them?
So yeah, I definitely took the NCES practice exam initially. Like I mentioned, I scored pretty decently, like 60. Um, took yours as well. The first one, I think I scored like about like high 60s, like 66, 68. And even on the second one, I think I may have scored like a 60 or 62. So in a sense, I had like at least three practice exams.
Right,
There are a couple of others I used. So I actually went in with like 4 or 5 practice exams behind my back. So I was
right,
actually ready to, sit for those grinding 8 hours going
right.
ahead.
That's great. Now, what would be your advice for a mechanical engineer, another Siddharth who has a mechanical background, no electrical background, right? What would you tell them?
I mean, the first thing is, just don't feel afraid of trying it.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of students actually don't take it because they're afraid of trying it. I mean, it's going to be a grind. It's not going to be a walk in the park by any means. But definitely the efforts are worth it because, I mean, when I told my colleagues and, my officers and stuff, they were like really, really happy, ecstatic. They were a lot of them weren't even aware because I hadn't told them that I was taking the PE. So it was more like a surprise for them. In
P in
power,
power,
power.
being a mechanical engineer. Yeah,
Yes. So they were like really happy, and you just feel it. It's a nice feeling when you get that done, especially not being in the field. I mean, I aspire to even STEM electrical drawings in future. So that's definitely a step in the right direction. But I mean, for any person who wants to attempt it, just don't, feel afraid. Learn the concepts, put in the efforts. It's once you do all the right steps, it's like you have half or I would say 80% of the job done. I mean, yeah, on exam, there may be some stuff that may happen, but those are like pretty outliners, but you at least need to put in the right amount of effort.
right. That's amazing. Again, this is a very inspirational story. I've had non-electrical engineers, recently a civil engineer who took the exam, and in every batch, I typically have a couple of non-electrical engineers who are taking. Currently, I have two mechanical engineers, but this is, I think, my first PE Power review, PE Power success story with somebody who is a non-electrical background.
Hmm.
So thanks again for your time, Siddharth. You are double PE now. Before we let you go, how do you compare PE HVAC to PE Power? Again, it's probably not a fair comparison because in one case you're already working in the industry, you have the academic background. In another case, you don't. But
Actually, kind of similar because I took my electrical PE right after I graduated my master's. So I had
you
like
mean
about
mechanical PE, mechanical,
mechanical PE,
yeah,
yes. So
yeah.
I actually had like about 3 months of experience. So it's not a lot.
Okay,
Uh, but it was kind of pretty different because though that was the pen and paper one, the last one that I
yeah,
took.
open book, yeah.
Yeah, and that's when they, and you could actually take like tons of, code books. I had people come in like with, those big suitcases that you take on vacations with all the code books and, all that stuff. So that was kind of different. But I would say the experience was pretty similar because in a sense, I was still going with an open or a clean slate in both of the exams
Right.
without having tons of experience. Um, I must admit that, on the PE power exam, and maybe it's because I had the experience of the previous PE, by the time I got out, I just had a feeling that, I had done decently well. I mean, I wasn't sure that I was going to pass. I mean, but I knew like about 50 questions or something. I was like dead confident on, those
That's more
ones
than
that,
enough, in my opinion. If you're
yeah.
100% sure on 50 out of 80, I think you got it.
Yeah, and the rest I was just hoping that a couple of my guesses and stuff, still stick. I was using the probability effort, not just randomly guessing, but I
Yeah.
could at least eliminate some options going ahead. So it was more a probability game at that point of time. So I
Right.
think that's been my experience in a sense of taking two PEs, HVAC and PE power engineering. Yeah.
That's great. And has my program sparked any type of interest in power systems in your mind? Do you see yourself pivoting a little bit into or overlapping with power systems in near future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more on the building side of stuff, mainly because I'm working in an MEP industry.
So
I
there's already some
definitely,
overlap. Yeah,
yeah, and I definitely aspire to be to at least stamp an electrical drawings in future. Just do
that's
a
great.
half and half thing, maybe more like an overseeing kind of stuff. And that's one of my reasons that my company encouraged me. They did see that I did have the uh, liking to electrical, and I did have the aptitude for picking some stuff up. And that's what I aspire to do, because as you know, working in this industry, especially on the building side, there is a lot of interconnection between
Oh yeah, big time.
mechanical and electrical,
I've worked
just
with HVAC engineers, mechanical engineers, and there's a
yeah,
lot of overlap. You're providing load list and you're sizing the
yeah.
equipment, the feeds, and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, not just that, but just from the fire alarm systems, from the smoke detector
right,
systems. I
right.
mean, there is just a lot more that goes into it,
Yeah,
uh, and that's something I have like my colleagues who just sit right next to me on the electrical side that I keep talking to continuously. So it's like some knowledge that I am gaining, and hopefully I can gain more and more experience as I go ahead, and once I feel comfortable you know, with my entire knowledge base, I can probably sign even electrical drawings as a PE in future.
no, that's great. It definitely makes you a very, very valuable member of the team if you can speak to both aspects of design, and obviously passing this exam gives you those credentials and that recognition. So great job, Siddharth. I will just summarize in my own words that this was definitely an amazing achievement, one that came at the back of lots and lots of effort, 35 hours consistently for 4 plus 5 months is not a mean feat, right? And this is what it takes to get it done, even if you don't have electrical background. So great job.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Wasim. Your course was fantastic. It really helped me, especially like you mentioned, from a non-electrical background to uh, do it. It speaks volumes about your course as well, just not my efforts. But thank you so much.
Thank you.